Okay, so we're given an absolute pressure, and we want to know the gauge pressure, right? So the question is, how much more than an atmosphere is 42 kilopascals? And of course, this is a trick question because it's less than an atmosphere, so it'll end up being negative more than an atmosphere, right? So let's just use our formula here, right? The absolute pressure is the gauge pressure plus 1 atmosphere. Right, and so let's see, the absolute pressure is 42 kilopascals, and then that equals, we want the gauge pressure, so that's what we're looking for, right? And then atmosphere is 101.3. And of course, it's going to be negative more than an atmosphere, right? So 42 minus 101.3. is the gauge pressure is going to be reading a negative pressure. It's less than an atmosphere by 59.3 pascals, kilopascals. Okay. Now, just be very careful. You can say it's a negative gauge pressure, right? But it's still a positive absolute pressure, right? And that's what really happens. It is possible to have a negative pressure. I do believe they have done this. But a negative pressure is for sure a weird thing. Is that you've got a fluid, probably a liquid in this case, that's pulling in on the walls of the container. And that's hard to do, but it can be done. But it's not a normal thing. Okay. So when we talk about negative pressures, they're almost always above zero absolute pressure, but they're just below an atmosphere, right? So yeah, there you go. And they do that like nurses in hospitals. They talk about like suction and stuff like that, right? It just means it's less than an atmosphere. There's no such thing really as suction.